got to talk about the Democrat Party today. More specifically, the downfall of the Democrat Party, because we have some numbers from the 2020 versus the 2024 election. And oh boy, does it not look good for what just happened to the Democrats in this past election. And we got some other stuff as well that we're going to get into, some very shocking things that we'll dive into later on in the video. But to start this thing off, I want to show you guys this chart here, which is displaying how voters voted in 2020 versus how they voted in 2024 and the percentage change. All right. So now on your screen here, you could see Kamala lost men overall by 6% from 2020 to 2024. The percentage of men that voted for Democrats dropped by 6%. Latino men, it was 12. Black men, it was 7. But overall, 6%. Let's move on down to women. For women, she was down, but barely. She was down by 1%. And then if we come down to the very bottom of this post here, 18 to 29 overall, she was down by 6%. 6%. The only group she made any type of gain with is white married women, and she went +1 in comparison to Biden in 2020, +1%. Hey, yo, married white ladies, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing, ladies? Come on. Y'all the only group. But it gets even worse, okay? Because, yes, Florida is now a red state. We all recognize that. But even in places that you would typically think, yeah, that's probably a Democrat city, just it's in a red state. No. Miami, Dade County is officially, now, in this past election, Dade County did vote red. But according to the voter registration numbers, it is now officially flipped to a red city officially. Red city. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. When Democrats are starting to lose big cities, you know it's getting real ugly. Now let's move on. Politico posted an article with this headline. California Latinos are leaving Democrats behind. Yeah. In California, leaving the Democrats behind. A deep red state. Deep red. That shifted right in this past election, but it was still pretty. It was still pretty blue. Did I say a deep red state? A deep blue state. A deep blue state. It shifted red in this past election, but it was still pretty blue. All right. New York Post. Elise Stefanik in dead heat with Kathy Hochul in potential governor race as Trump edges Democrat in favorability poll. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Elise Stefanik and Kathy Hochul are basically tied in the polls right now to be governor of New York State. New York State might elect a Republican governor. You know it's getting ugly, baby. Listen, it is getting real ugly for the Democrat Party. And that's why I really wanted to make this video, because when you have things like this, it spells disaster. And I remember back on election night, right? Just last year, obviously, the 2024 election. And I was seeing a bunch of numbers come in. And I saw the numbers from Dade County, which is funny because we just talked about it. I was seeing the numbers coming in from Dade County, and I was like, oh, crap. Dade County is about to vote red. The numbers showed that Dade County was more than likely going to vote for Trump. And there was something else. I don't remember. There was numbers from like 2 other places that I was pulling, but Dade County was one, and there was like 2 other things. But based off of that, and I had some people over at the house, and they were like, yo, Rich, man, people were nervous for good reason. They're like, Rich, man, what do you think is going to happen? And I'm like, well, let me take a look at everything. And, I looked at Dade County, and like I said, I think there was like 2 other things I was looking at. And based off of that, I was like, Trump has a better shot at blowing Kamala out than he does at losing. And I said that because you take these types of things like Dade County turning red. You take things like, oh, New York is about to possibly vote for a Republican governor. You take things like that and you put it on a broader map, right? Because these are deep blue or should be, in the case of Miami, should be blue areas that are potentially, or in the case of Miami, has gone red. In the case of New York, potentially will go red. That's huge. That's huge. Ignore the noise that you hear from mainstream media, because the fact remains, mainstream media was wrong. Folks like myself were right. And it's because when you have to look at stuff like that, just like that. Nina Turner recently went on to News Nation and had some interesting things to say. And this is what she said. Check it out.
This is what I care about the most, Leland, is that the Democratic Party proved itself to be hypocrites. And two things that people cannot abide: hypocrites and liars. So they wanted to say that President Donald J. Trump was the biggest threat to democracy, when it turns out that the Democratic Party itself was the biggest threat to democracy. Whenever you don't allow for a primary, and you have a congressman right here, right now, who had the courage of his conviction to run. Don't forget that Julian Castro, too, when he was running in 2020, said that there was something wrong with President Biden. Now, he's not a medical doctor, but that was his observation.
You didn't have to be a doctor. We all saw
it. But Leland, but then he was ostracized, too. So the Democratic Party, the same things that they claim that Republicans do, they do to Democrats like myself and the congressmen and others. And I don't know if they disappeared Julian Castro. I hope he's okay, because he told the truth on that stage. The biggest mistake that the party made, in my opinion, before we got to this point, was to not allow for a robust primary. And the Democratic Party itself must answer to that. And the same people who got us in this mess are not the ones who can get us out. So as far as I'm concerned, Leader Hakeem Jeffries should go. As far as I'm concerned, Senator Schumer should go. All of these folks should go.
They're scared.
Clean house and start all over.
Straight out of a Democrat's mouth. Nina Turner. Burn the whole house down. We're going to start over. Burn it down. It's not Trump that's a threat to democracy. It's actually Democrats that are a threat to democracy. And it's interesting that she said that, because if you guys recall from the video the other day with Bernie Sanders on the Andrew Tate podcast, or no, not Andrew Tate, Andrew Schultz podcast, he basically said the exact same thing, that it's Democrats that truly are a threat to democracy. It's Democrats. Just saying. Andrew Cuomo recently had something interesting to say about the Democrat Party as well. And like I said, the Democrat Party is an absolute shambles. I know on mainstream media, and when people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer come out, they try to make it seem and sound as if everything is peachy, nothing's going on, they're all in unison, everything is great, everything is good. But it isn't. It isn't. When you pull back the curtains, you truly get a glimpse at how bad it really is. And that's why I started off with some of those numbers, and now I'm getting to some more of these clips. But here's Andrew Cuomo admitting Democrat leaders are ruining American cities. Check it out.
And that far left is so intense and so active and so strong, you better not get on the wrong side of them, because they will threaten you, and they will threaten you in a primary, and they're very strong in a primary because you have that low turnout. And they are the activists. So it's a paralysis. Unless it's perfect, right? The perfect is the enemy of the good. Unless it's perfect, we're not going to do it. And we're going to side with the advocacy community opposition whenever we can. And we get absolutely nothing done. And you see a deterioration of conditions. And people say, why? And you're all Democrats. And I went to Los Angeles, and all I saw were blue tarps everywhere, and homeless living under bridges, etc. And I'm afraid to walk down the street. And it's all Democrats who are in charge. And there's no one else to blame. It's you. And you want to point fingers internally. That does nothing for me. It's still you. And that's what you have to fix.
It's you. It's your fault. I go to these cities and it's all chaos. It's all blue tarps. And it's nobody's fault but Democrats. When you got Democrats actually coming out and admitting that, in combination with some of the numbers and things that we're seeing, yeah, it's getting real ugly. It is getting real ugly. But it gets even worse. it gets even, I know you like Fritz. How could it get even worse than that? Well, let me explain. We have a census coming up in 2030. Remember the stories about all of those U-Hauls leaving blue states, going to red states? Remember we talked about people voting with their feet, getting out of blue states and going to red states? That's going to come back to bite the Democrats. Check out this forecast for the Electoral College map come 2030. Blue state California to lose 4. Blue state Oregon to lose 1. Blue state Minnesota to lose 1. Blue state Illinois to lose 2. Pennsylvania to lose 1. Deep blue state New York to lose 3. And Rhode Island to lose 1. But you know where the gains are happening? Deep red, Florida. Deep red, Texas. Tennessee. North Carolina. Georgia. Right? All red states basically are making all of the gains, and all blue states, the big blue states, are losing. Which creates a major shift to the point where I believe somebody did the math in one video. I might have talked about this in the past, but the math works out to where a Democrat come 2032 could win the blue wall and still lose. There is a scenario where in 2032, if this plays out, if this map plays out, that a Democrat could win the blue wall, right? What Kamala was aiming for, which she lost. Hey, shout out to us, baby. Shout out to America, man. Love it. But a Democrat will be able to win the blue wall, but still lose the election because of the population shift that is happening, leaving blue states and going into red states. Now, if that don't sound like doom for the Democrat Party, then I don't know what does, right? I don't know what does. When you have cities that should be blue that are turning red, when you have states that should be blue but are possibly about to elect a Republican governor, when you have Democrats coming out and saying, no, it's not the Republicans that are a threat to democracy, it's the Democrats that are a threat to democracy. When you have Democrats going against each other in the public eye, and then on top of that, you got the Electoral College as the backdrop for 2030. Oh yeah, it's over with. They're cooked. They are cooked. Because one, and I didn't even touch on this, because we could even talk about their 12th man, so to speak. For all my football players know what the 12th man is, right? There's 11 players on the field, but the 12th man is the crowd, right? The crowd helps you out. I see mainstream media as the Democrats' 12th man. That's their 12th man. But now they really don't even have their 12th man anymore. And I think we proved that with this past election. This past election proved that their 12th man is basically useless. He's the water boy. You got the water boy out in the field. He about to get pummeled. You might as well let him sit on the bench, coach. Take him off the field. The water boy ain't got no business being out here, right? So mainstream media, their 12th man has lost their power. And then you have the backdrop of everything else that I talked about. Explain to me how the Democrats win. I see one route and one route only that the Democrats could possibly win. And that is if the economy is absolutely in the tank. If Uncle Trump fails, and I mean fails miserably, completely flops, that is the only way I see the Democrats squeaking by in a win. And I say squeaking by because there's a lot of people still that will vote for another Republican because they'll understand that at least Trump tried. At least he gave it a shot, you know? Now, do I think he's going to fail? No. And I've explained that in other videos. I'm not going to get into that in today's video, but that's the only way I see Democrats squeaking by in a win is if Trump absolutely flops. His agenda absolutely flops. That's it. Other than that, it's over with. W's in the chat, baby. W's in the chat. Anyway, y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this in the comment section. Let's talk about it a little more. I'm interested to hear your thoughts and your opinions. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Why or why not? Talk to me. Subscribe if you haven't already. And hit that bell button next to it so you're notified whenever these videos drop. Thanks for tuning in as always. Peace and love. I'm out.